Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Raya and I make videos on conscious living, sustainability, and self-love. And today I'm super excited to share with you my top 5 books that you have to read this summer. I've been on a reading kick recently. The last month I've read 10 books and I just can't stop reading and listening to books. It's like all I want to do all day. So I'm really excited to share with you some of my recent favorites. Before I get started, I wanted to let you know that I've started a new Instagram account called Raya's Book Club where I'm sharing everything that I'm reading, all my reviews and my favorite books, and a lot of reading inspiration. And I've also started sharing some of my creator friends' top 3 favorite books as well. So if you're into reading, you have to follow it. It's like my new baby and I'm really excited about it. So make sure you check that out. And another quick thing, I want to say thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. This is like the perfect sponsorship for me because, like I said, I'm obsessed with reading right now. So Book of the Month is a subscription box that helps you discover the best new early release and new release adult fiction books, and I'm very, very excited about it. I just got my box today. So each month you can pick 1 out of the 5 monthly picks that they have, and if you want you can add up to 2 more of their featured books, which is what I've done. I've picked 3 out of the 5 monthly books this month because I'm really excited about them. And if you want you can also skip a month, so if you're traveling or something, or if you're still reading last month's pick, that's no problem. You can skip without any charge. The subscription is $14.99 a month, which is amazing because if you have bought newly released hardcover books in the past, you know that they're usually around like $25 to $30, so $14.99 is a really good deal. And if you want to get your first month for $9.99, you can use the code SUN5, SUN5, so you can just put that in on bookofthemonth.com. But I wanted to quickly show you the books that I picked for this month. So my first pick is called The Last Flight by Julie Clark, and this is actually a thriller, which I haven't really read many thrillers before, so I was just excited to try this, and the description sounded so good, so I will let you guys know what I think of this one. The next one I picked is called One to Watch by Kate Stayman London, and this just looks really fun. This looks like a rom-com in a book, basically, and it looks like there's a lot of body image and self-love things discussed in here as well, so I feel like this is going to be like the perfect summer read. And then the last one I picked is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and this looked super interesting, and especially for everything that's going on in the world right now, I think this will just be perfect. I actually wrote down the description for you in here. It is a powerful story that confronts race and identity in the 1960s, as 2 twins, inseparable as children, choose to live in 2 very different worlds, one black and one white. So yeah, that sounds really good. And I'm gonna review all of these on my Raya's Book Club Instagram, so make sure to follow that and I will let you guys know what I think of them. But without further ado, let's get into the top 5 books that you have to read this summer. The first book I read a couple years ago, and it's one of my favorite books, and it's probably my most recommended books to friends and people that I know. It is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. If you don't know who Trevor is, he is a comedian and the host of The Daily Show, and this is his story of growing up during apartheid in South Africa. Trevor was born to a white father and black mother during apartheid, where such an act was against the law and actually punishable by 5 years in prison. So his story is so interesting, and it is such a beautiful insight into a time in South Africa that is really painful, and honestly something that I didn't really know that much about. Unfortunately, I feel like it doesn't really get taught in a lot of schools around the world about that time in history in South Africa, so it's just a really great way to learn about that time. And because Trevor is a comedian, it is written in such a funny and engaging and fun way, so even though it's quite a heavy topic at some points, it's honestly like really engaging to read. And if you listen to the audiobook, he reads it as well, so his accent and like the way he jokes and stuff is a really kind of fun added layer to it. Honestly, this book is so good, and I would highly recommend it to everyone, especially if you don't know that much about apartheid. Please listen to this book or read it. It will just give you a great insight into a time in history that I think everyone needs to know about. Hi, if the background or the lighting or I look a little bit different, it is because the first half of this video was filmed 2 weeks ago, and since then I had the video done, ready to upload for you guys, and then I stopped uploading on YouTube because the last week I wanted to take the time, like a lot of other creators, to not post and instead to take the time to listen and learn. And since coming back to the video, I've realized that unfortunately only one of the authors that I originally highlighted was Black. So I want to refilm the second half of this video, and I want to in total highlight all 5 books to be written by Black authors, because these are the voices that we need to be listening to. Some of these books I read over the past week, some I've read in the past and I love, and I just am so excited to share all these with you. So let's get into the next 4 books. The next book that I'd recommend for you is Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams, and this book is such a great read. On the surface, this novel is about a woman in her mid-20s who lives in London, who is going through what a lot of other women in their mid-20s go through. Things like going through a breakup and dating and drama in friend groups and family and mental health issues and a lot of things like that. So I really love that I was able to connect with so much that Queenie was going through throughout the book, because like I said, most women have experienced some level of at least some of these things that she was going through. However, what I found so powerful is while I could relate to a lot that she was thinking about or going through, there is a layer to her experience that I can never ever truly understand, because Queenie is a Jamaican British woman. She's Black, and her experience of the dating world and the things she has to deal with at work and the cultural issues that she has to deal with her family, especially when it comes to her dealing with her mental health and trying to get help for that when a lot of her family don't really believe in that. There's just so much to this story that I will never understand, and like I said, I think it's so powerful to read a story that you connect to in some ways, but then that really highlights the difference of the two experiences, because while I may have had some similar experiences to Queenie, because she's a Black woman, her experience in the world is just so different from mine, and I've learned so much through this book. So especially if you're a woman, but honestly anyone, read this book. It's really eye-opening. The next book is so powerful. It is actually written as a young adult book, but I think everyone easily could and should read this. It is called The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This book was actually made into a movie as well, and I watched the movie after reading the book, which is so good. But what it is about is a 16-year-old girl who grew up in a lower income part of her city. I don't actually remember if they specifically say what city she's in or if it's like a fictional city. But anyway, she's growing up in a lower income neighborhood, and she goes to a private school in a rich white neighborhood. And just her experience of, first of all, that and just her life between like the two worlds, but also pretty early on in the book, one of her really good childhood friends gets murdered by a police officer, and the police officer, not to spoil anything, but doesn't get what he rightfully deserves. And the book is just her as a 16-year-old girl having to deal with this horrible situation and still having to like go through normal high school dating experiences. If you don't love reading, then please at least watch the movie. And because this is written as a young adult book, this is a great book to give to a teenager in your life, a sibling or cousin or something. It's written for young adults, but it touches on such powerful topics that we all need to pay a lot more attention to, and thankfully I think a lot more people are, but still, this book is incredible. The next book is a book that I'm halfway through right now, and that is easily one of the most powerful books I've ever read in my life. It is called The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. This is Anthony's incredibly powerful memoir of how he spent 30 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit. He was accused of murder, even though he had a very credible alibi. And just his experience of not only that, but he goes back into his childhood and his upbringing and just his life living as a Black man in America. It is so powerful, and I'm literally getting chills when I talk about it, because his story of injustice is one that everyone needs to read and understand. And hopefully, I think the more people that can see and hear about stories like this, the more people will get fired up to fight for justice, because the fact that this incredible man spent 30 years in prison when he absolutely should not have, and he was not guilty, and it was very easy to see that he was not guilty. We cannot let that happen again anymore in this country, in any country in the world. If this is the country of freedom and justice, what this book proves is that for a long time now, America has stood for the complete opposite of that. So this book is just incredible. This man's story is incredible, and I am asking all of you to please read this book. And the last book that I want to recommend to you is called What I Know for Sure by Oprah. And this book, I believe, stems from Oprah had a column in her magazine called What I Know for Sure that she wrote in for, I think, about 20 years. And she ended up putting this book together of just some of her most meaningful life lessons and things that she's learned that she knows for sure. And this is just such a great book. This is one of those books that you can just like have on your bedside table or even on your coffee table and just pick it up and read a different chapter or section, and it's just like these nuggets of deep wisdom. I mean, Oprah is one of my biggest role models, and I think one of the most incredible women in the world, and just to have these nuggets of like some of her biggest life lessons on hand, I think is an invaluable resource. So this book is a great book. It's also a great book to give as a gift to people. I really think every household in the world like needs a copy of this book. So yeah, I would very highly recommend. And that is it. I am currently reading so many more books around the topics that we've all been talking about over the last week or two, and I'm learning so much. I will continue to tell you guys about the books that I'm reading on my Raya's Book Club Instagram, and I'm actually really excited to dive into The Vanishing Half. That's like the next on my reading list from Book of the Month because it is perfect to read during this time. So I will let you guys know what I think on my Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sending so much love out to all of you, to everyone who has been taking this time to read books and watch movies and documentaries and really learn. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just, again, I really think for all of us to be learning as much as we can and opening our minds and hearts up to experiences that we definitely will never fully understand, but we may not have ever even imagined. This is where change will come from. So thank you guys for watching this, and I will see you very soon. Bye.